This guy's been writing articles for us for the last several seasons for both
Very
the
good,
Ohio
too. Very
State
good writing.
football team as well as the Cleveland Browns, and he had a great one to put his expertise to use on Saturday afternoon in Columbus. Please welcome to the program for the first of many times here on the
Absolutely.
podcast for this season, Mr. Lucas Wickiser. What up, Luke?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I'm glad to be back.
Glad to have you back, buddy. And as a Kent State graduate, I got to imagine you took a lot of joy in that article you got to write about the Buckeyes on Saturday.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like Christmas every year with the brand new season and everything. And I don't even worry about the fans who are Ohio State didn't win by 60, or whatever. I mean, I'm glad they beat Akron, but I'm just happy.
You actually mentioned in your article something that I didn't know, that it's been over 100 years since Ohio State has lost to an in-state opponent.
Really?
I was actually kind of surprised to hear that nobody's
Like a
jumped
Cincinnati?
up like a Cincy or a Kent State or an Akron or an Ohio at any point, Luke. So where did you see that? And then are you surprised that the Buckeyes have been just rolling through the state for 100 years plus?
Just to tell you guys, I actually listened to that on the broadcast, and the last time Ohio State lost to an in-state opponent was 1921 against Oberlin, 7-6.
Oberlin,
And so it was like the slimmest of margins, and it was before Ohio State really got big because they won their first national title in 42. So 21, they were still kind of this little cow college. There was a lot more parity in Ohio, but now I'm not really surprised at all that Ohio State's owned the state. I mean, the closest chances they've had to lose to an Ohio team, I think, might have been Cincinnati back in 02 when the Buckeyes had a national championship run. But other than that, they pretty much run roughshod over everybody.
Well, nobody upgraded their roster via the transfer portal more than Ohio State. I think you could say in the entire country, Luke. So give me your thoughts on the new faces in Columbus that we were able to buy, for lack of a better term. And let's begin with Will Howard, the quarterback, because he came in from Kansas State, and there was a lot of talk about him. Well, is he even going to win the starting job? And I think he looked fantastic in the spring, and certainly I think kind of set a standard for us on Saturday. Your thoughts on him?
I know it's only week one. It was one game. I don't think he's ready to face like an Oregon, a Penn State, a Michigan, a Georgia, and Alabama. But like I said, it's only week one. But I really liked his decision making. He has a cannon for an arm. I know it was Akron, so let's keep things in perspective here. But Kyle McCord last year didn't have any of the tools that Howard now has, and so I'm really excited to see what he does. I don't usually like these cupcake games, but maybe for an offensive system like ours and a player like Will Howard, maybe they need that to get up to speed. But I really like what Will Howard brings to the table in terms of decision making, arm strength, and he's built like a brick house. He's like a cross between Josh Allen and Big Ben. He's 6'4", 235, so he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a monster, man. And in the running game, Trey Henderson's been that dude for us, of course. And now we get Quinshon Judkins, who comes in from Ole Miss. That 1-2 punch, and we saw both of them kind of equal shares in the offense from the limited time that I got to watch in the game. Just how do you feel like so far, just one game, he's been implemented into the offense? And do you feel like maybe he has an uptick in terms of his role after we start getting a few weeks under our belt?
I think he could have an uptick in terms of his role, and I know it was Ohio State Akron, but I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a Kent State story here. When Kent State had one of their best seasons in 2012, they had a Thunder and Lightning combo with Trayon Durham and Dree Archer, and so I'm kind of thinking that if this works out the way it's supposed to, you'll have Henderson be the Thunder and then Judkins be the Lightning, or God forbid Henderson goes down again, at least you have some more depth at running back. Because Henderson's a fantastic running back, but he's always struggled with injuries. And, but Judkins, I think, could definitely be a nice depth pickup as well.
Welcome to college, Jeremiah Smith. What an unbelievable game for this dude. He was as advertised, a 5-star prospect coming out of Florida. Everybody was raving about this guy before he even got on campus. And one game, and now you see it. you're like, wow, he's just a little bit different and a true freshman at that. So he even, I saw in the pregame that he was with some family members and a couple of teammates, and he even called the spot where he was going to score his first Ohio State touchdown. And then later on in the game, he gets to throw over there in the corner of the end zone, and he scored in that exact location. This guy doesn't exactly seem human, Luke. What did you make of his performance? A couple of touchdowns, and every time they looked his way, good things were happening.
Well, first of all, that's news to me when you said he basically did the football version of calling his shot, you know. Basically
100%.
just pointed like, I'm going to score right there, and it's good to have that kind of confidence. I just hope he doesn't get too big of a head, too big of an ego. But as far as what he can bring to this offense, I mean, if he can get some chemistry going with Howard, he could be dangerous. I mean, you already have Ibuka, you have him, and then you have several other offensive weapons. You have the running backs, and then Howard looks like he could be the prototypical Ohio State quarterback, dual threat quarterback. But if Jeremiah Smith can settle in, man, he could be dangerous, you know. And I probably shouldn't have tabbed him as a Devin Smith 2.0 type in my article because it was Akron. You know, Akron is horrible. But no, man, I like the tools that I've seen from this kid. He can high point the ball. He is fast enough to outrun corners and sneak behind defenses. He seems like he's got it all. But again, he's a young kid. It was his first start. We'll see if he does the same thing against like a Penn State or an Oregon or a Michigan. If he does those things against those guys, look out.
Yeah, the wide receiver room is absolutely loaded again. Shout out Brian Hartline. I cannot believe how well he's been able to recruit into Columbus, but we got just a plethora, an overload of talent.